Welcome back, everybody, to Niners Now. I'm your host, Brady Grustas, at Grustas Brady on X. You can follow me there. And today it is time for the Week 9 stock report. This one's a little delayed this week thanks to all the trade deadline madness, but there was some pretty significant performances in the Week 9 game against the New York Giants, and I want to shout out all those positives while also highlighting some necessary negatives. And of course, stick around until later in the show because we've got some comments to read and a new potential 49er to discuss. But of course, before we begin, go ahead and subscribe down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, and let's get into it. So to start, I want to talk about some guys who really raised their stock by playing great against the Giants. And that, for me, starts with none other than Brian Robinson Jr. B-Rob had his best game of the season as a 49er. My issue with B-Rob so far this year is that he only gets what is blocked for him. But in this game, he finally showed a little bit of extra effort, right? You saw in that big touchdown run, him trucking through Deonte Banks in order to break the run out for a touchdown, right? He was showing more physicality. He showed a little bit more explosion. He was also making some big plays in the return game, making this now 2 weeks in a row that he's had a nice day as a returner. So he's playing well on special teams. He's starting to really show some value on offense. Carried the ball for 5 times for 53 yards for a touchdown. And of course, that touchdown was pretty huge on Sunday as well. So I really love what Brian Robinson was able to do on Sunday, and I hope he can continue it against the LA Rams. Now, next up, I want to talk about Spencer Burford. Burford stepped in out of his injury and started at left guard for the first time ever. He has never played left guard in his career. He's played left tackle, he's played right guard, and I think he's also played right tackle. But he played better than any left guard has all year long, right? He looked dynamic as a run blocker. And he wasn't perfect in pass protection, but Burford might be one of the top 5 offensive linemen on the 49ers. And you hear teams say all the time, we just want to get our 5 best offensive linemen on the field. And with Ben Bartch coming back, I'm pretty curious to see whether the 49ers start Burford or Bartch at that left guard spot. Now, the last guy I want to talk about is Renardo Green. It's been a bit of an up and down year for Renardo Green, but he was fantastic on Sunday against the Giants. He was only targeted 3 times. He had 2 pass breakups and allowed 1 catch for 6 yards. Now he's got a much more difficult task this week against Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, right? But he is a guy who has been sneaky awesome for the 49ers the past couple of weeks, and I really hope that he can have a statement game against the Rams and continue to be absolutely locked down. You know what rhymes with lockdown? Stock down. Not my cleanest transition. But you know what? I've got 3 guys I want to talk about who have been lowering their stocks so far, especially against the Giants. And that starts with the other Robinson on the 49ers, Demarcus Robinson. Plain and simple, Demarcus Robinson is being phased out of the offense. You saw guys like Sky Moore, Jordan Watkins get opportunities on Sunday. Juwan Jennings, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, those guys obviously got their opportunities. And even Kendrick Bourne got involved more than Robinson did. Robinson had 1 target and 0 catches on the day. And that's not what you want to see. It really is not. Robinson is just kind of falling out of the rotation a little bit. And if he keeps playing this way and he gets passed up by guys like Sky Moore and Jordan Watkins on offense, then I don't anticipate that Robinson will be back with the 49ers next year, despite being under contract next year. The next guy I want to talk about who's a stock down, it's Yetur Gross-Matos, right? And he didn't play on Sunday, but that's kind of the issue. Yetur Gross-Matos re-aggravated his hamstring injury in practice on Thursday, the last practice of the week before that Giants game, and unfortunately it landed him on IR. Now, Kyle Shanahan did say that he was planning on bringing back YGM at some point later in the season, but we don't know exactly when that'll be. There is no timeline. And Yetur Gross-Matos had a huge opportunity with Mykel Williams getting hurt and Travis Gibson being poached, right? There were edge snaps available for YGM, and he cannot capitalize. It's been a pretty rough signing for the 49ers. This is his last year under contract, and I think he'll probably end up on a different team if this injury bug continues. And the last guy I want to bring up real quick is defensive tackle CJ West. Now, West he's been a channel favorite since really the conception of this channel, but he's been a healthy scratch ever since Kevin Givens came back from his injury. And I don't get it. Why do you not want to see CJ West play? Right? I get he's your fifth defensive tackle. I understand that. But sitting him on the bench is not going to do him any good. Not dressing CJ West is not helpful for his development. And you're kind of relying on CJ West to be a real part of this defensive tackle rotation going forward. It's him and Collins. That's who you want to ball out and really be the anchors of this run defense in the future. So not playing him this year, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's really not a good sign for CJ West. Now, on to some better news. The 49ers may actually get a little boost, a little reinforcement added to the defense, even after the trade deadline has passed, because none other than cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. is healthy, and he is scheduled to visit the 49ers. Now, there's a lot of interest for Asante Samuel Jr. He's visited with the Panthers on Wednesday. He's visiting with the Packers on Thursday, the Vikings on Friday. The 49ers will be next Monday. The Bears will be Tuesday. And, of course, he'll finish with the Steelers next Wednesday. So a full week, right? A full week of visits for Asante Samuel Jr. And I get it, right? He's been out all season long thanks to spinal fusion surgery, which apparently was fixing a chronic neck and shoulder injury. But he's back now. He's been officially cleared to return. He's all good to go. And this is when all these teams start to pounce. Asante Samuel played 4 games last year, injured that neck and shoulder area, had the surgery in April, and there were no takers at all for all of the offseason until now, right? He's been officially cleared. And as you saw, 6 teams already want visits with Asante Samuel. So hopefully he can make it to Monday without signing with a team, because I'd really like to see him in this defense. He's athletic. He's a slightly undersized guy, 5'10 or 5'9, depending on where you're looking. And he's got good ball production. He's had a bunch of interceptions so far in his career. But the issue with Samuel is that he's a pretty poor run defender and a poor tackler, partially due to his size and his kind of smaller frame, but also partially due to the fact that he just doesn't really want to tackle. It's definitely both a physical issue and a mental issue for Samuel Jr. But he is still a good player, right? He had 3 interceptions in his playoff debut. I believe that was against the Jaguars. Awesome game for Asante Samuel, man. And you know what? I think he can still contribute to an NFL team. I think he's a starting caliber player, even if he has his pretty major deficiencies. The question is, how does he fit with the 49ers? Well, I think he'd probably be a backup, to be totally honest. I'm not sure the 49ers want to bench Diamador Lenore or Renardo Green anytime soon on the outside. And Samuel's poor run defense makes him a really bad fit for that nickel spot. So he can't play inside, right, because of the run defense. And he's not really going to play outside because Renardo Green and Diamador Lenore are both, playing great, right? So what's the pitch? Why would Samuel come here if he's not going to start? Well, if I were the 49ers, I'd be pitching that the coaching is phenomenal, right? You get kind of the rest of this year, you get half a year to really get coached up by an awesome team. You get a great letter of recommendation, if you will, from Robert Saleh, who's a respected defensive coach around the league. And you have the opportunity to win games. Yes, I know the 49ers are dealing with a ton of injuries, but they're 6-3. I mean, they're scheduled to make the playoffs at least. We'll see if that ends up happening, but I certainly think they've got a shot at it, right? It's a lot better than some of these other teams. I mean, I guess most of these teams are at least vying for playoffs. But the 49ers, I think, have a better shot than like the Vikings or the Panthers, right? Or maybe even the Bears. So if Asante Samuel wants to win, wants to be in a good culture with a good coaching staff, maybe he comes to the 49ers. And you know what? Given the injury luck with this defense especially, he'll probably end up playing at least a little bit for this 49ers team. I'd be happy to bring in Asante Samuel Jr. What about you? Do you think the 49ers should go out and get a guy like Asante Samuel? Let me know down below in the comments. And speaking of the comments, it's time for the return of the comments section, where we go over some of the comments that you guys have left over the last couple of videos. If you'd like to be featured in this segment, all you got to do is just leave a comment. The more comments you leave, the higher the chances that you make it into the segment, right? It's kind of like rigging the lottery a little bit. The more entries, the higher chance you win. So if you have any strong opinions on the show, on the 49ers, on the NFL, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below, and you might appear on this segment right here. One of these guys that I want to talk about today, or I want to respond to today at least, is named Mickey, and Mickey's mentioned that he wants to be a part of this segment. Thank you for commenting, Mickey. Much appreciated. Now let's look at what Mickey has to say. First, he says, I know a lot about the game and learning more and more every Sunday and Monday and Thursday night. I like your show because you are straight up and forward with stuff. You don't do too much sugarcoating, and I noticed that. Well, first of all, Mickey, thank you very much. I really appreciate the support. I agree. I think it's important to not ignore what's right in front of us, right? I don't think sugarcoating does anyone any good. Now, I like to be positive. I'm not one of these, kind of clickbait reporters who does nothing but, trash the 49ers. I don't believe in that. I try and be positive, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If there's a bad situation, it's a bad situation. And I do my best, at least, to try and tell it like it is. Mickey also commented in regards to Jerry Jones. He says, Jerry is weird, always has been. Did you see that look on his face last night? They are running that man crazy. Yeah, I agree, Mickey. Jerry has always been weird. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was that scandal a little while back where there was an old picture of a school segregation rally, and someone found someone in the crowd that kind of looked like Jerry Jones, and it's like, Jerry, what are you doing campaigning for the segregation of schools? Anyways, that was never verified, so let's move on. But Jerry's a weirdo, right? And I do kind of love that he runs the Cowboys because he's a nightmare, right? He's a nightmare as an owner, and anything that he does just tends to end up working out badly, right? And I think we saw another instance of that. He overpaid at the deadline immensely for Quinnen Williams. And Quinnen's a great player, but I just don't think that's a smart move from the Dallas Cowboys. One of many moves that I don't think are very smart. Jerry overpaying at the deadline, it shouldn't be surprising, but it is definitely weird. Now I got another comment here from John Niner. No trade is happening, which I predicted. Jermaine Johnson makes sense, though. This was before the trade deadline. And nice prediction. Nice prediction, John Niner. Shout out to you. Not a lot of people had the 49ers not making a move. I think most of us, if not all of us, kind of assumed that something was going to happen. But good call on your part. You saw through it. And I think, unfortunately, the reason for that is because the prices, they're too high, right? You're right. Jermaine Johnson did make a lot of sense for the 49ers. And that was evident. The 49ers were heavily interested in Jermaine Johnson, according to pretty much every report. Jordan Schultz just came out and said it the other day as well. But the Jets wouldn't let him go. Apparently, they had an offer on the table that included a second-round pick. And considering that it was really just the 49ers and Bears who were interested, pretty decent chance that the 49ers actually offered a second-round pick for Jermaine Johnson. And that still wasn't enough for the Jets to let him go. So at that point, I think you got to just say, we avoided the overpay. We didn't get the guy. It's unfortunate, but I think it is what it is. One more comment now. This one's from Mike. We need Cooper Kupp and Adam Thielen. Not totally sure I agree with those guys in particular, but I do get what you mean, at least what I think you mean. And Mike, feel free to correct me in the comments if I have this wrong. But I think what you're saying is we need reliable playmakers at wide receiver. And that I do agree with. We've seen Juwan Jennings get a little bit better. George Kittle's getting a little bit better post-injury. But no Ricky Pearsall and no Brandon Ayuk has been a problem for this 49ers passing attack. They miss those guys. They really do. Those are two reliable playmakers. And without those two, it has been a struggle to pass the ball consistently, right? They've shown flashes, but the consistency is an issue. I think in order to win games going forward, the 49ers are going to have to lean on the offense quite a bit, and the passing game is going to be a big part of that. So maybe if there are any reliable wide receiver playmakers out there in free agency, the 49ers should be sniffing around because I agree. I think it has not been consistent enough at the wide receiver position this year. So that is all for today, folks. Who do you think has been raising their stock lately? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you want to be featured in the comments section segment of our show, go ahead and leave a comment as well. Also, let me know if you enjoyed, leave a comment, leave a like, and let me know if there's any topics that you'd like to see me cover. Thank you all for watching, and subscribe for 49ers videos 5 days a week. The support has been phenomenal on these videos. Please, if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe. I'm Brady Grustas, at Grustas Brady on X. This has been Niners Now, and I'll see you tomorrow.